Welcome to Dreamy Tales, a place where gentle, relaxing stories will guide you into a deep sleep. On this channel, we'll be sharing soothing stories to help you unwind and forget the worries of the day. If you enjoy these peaceful moments, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our bedtime tales. Let's create a space of relaxation together each night. Now, before we dive into tonight's story, let's take a few moments to relax your body and mind. Find a comfortable spot to sit or lie down. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, feeling the fresh air filling your lungs, and slowly exhale, letting the tension in your body gradually melt away. Repeat this 3 more times. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and ready to enter the magical world of stories. Now, loosen your shoulders, gently massage your face, and release any remaining tension. Pay attention to any areas in your body that still feel tight, maybe in your neck, back, or legs, and gently let them relax. Next, we'll do a short guided visualization. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden under the night sky, with the soft moonlight shining down. You can hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the sound of water flowing gently in the distance. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your face. Now that your body and mind are relaxed, let's step into tonight's story. But before we begin, remind yourself that you deserve these moments of relaxation, and let go of all worries as you listen to each word. And now, as you are fully relaxed, let's begin our journey into tonight's tale. Allow my words to guide you into a world of dreams and serenity. Relax and listen slowly. The first thing Emma notices as she stirs from her slumber is the soft, rhythmic sound of rain tapping gently against the window. It's a sound that fills her with a quiet sense of calm, and she allows herself to remain in the warmth of her bed for a few extra moments, letting the cool, peaceful atmosphere of the morning seep into her thoughts. Her eyes stay closed, her mind lazily drifting in and out of wakefulness as she relishes the delicate sound of the rain. Without even realizing it, she dozes back into a light slumber, her thoughts merging with the rhythmic patter outside. Visions of glistening streets, wet from the previous night's rain, fill her mind, accompanied by the fleeting image of puddles reflecting the dim light. The world feels suspended in a delicate moment between dreams and reality. Slowly, like a tide retreating from the shore, the dream begins to dissolve, and Emma finds herself back in her own bedroom, the quiet of the morning settling around her. A smile tugs at her lips as she opens her eyes, grateful for those few extra minutes of rest. The rain has started to fade, its sound becoming softer, more distant, as if it is easing away into the quiet. Stretching her arms toward the ceiling, Emma savors the simple pleasure of waking up. She traces small circles with her toes beneath the covers, feeling the warmth of her feet gradually spread up her ankles with each movement. She slowly swings her legs over the side of the bed and lets her feet settle into the familiar comfort of her slippers. The day is starting, and it's already shaping up to be a gentle one. With a sense of purpose, Emma rises and moves into the kitchen. It's a ritual she cherishes each morning, the process of preparing her first cup of tea. She places the kettle on the stove and enjoys the soothing hiss and bubble of water heating up. To her, the sound is like a quiet melody, something constant and comforting in the otherwise peaceful morning silence. The kettle hums gently, and Emma's thoughts drift to the small things that make her home feel like home, the little details that greet her every morning. coolness in the air, the smell of rain still lingering in the rooms, and the soft glow of the kitchen lights. These things have always been part of her life, part of the small sanctuary she's created in her corner of the world. As the water heats, Emma moves to her tea collection, selecting a blend that feels just right for the day ahead. She gently spoons dry tea leaves into a metal tea ball and hangs it delicately from the rim of her mug. The precision and familiarity of the action give her a quiet sense of satisfaction. Each morning, this little ritual feels the same, but there's always something new in it, something fresh to notice, something small but meaningful. Once the water reaches a gentle boil, Emma pours it over the tea leaves, watching as the liquid turns the color of the leaves, slowly changing into the warm, rich hue she knows so well. She admires the way the water swirls with the tea, appreciating the simple beauty of the moment. It's a detail she always notices, yet never tires of. No two cups are ever the same, and each one seems to hold a new depth of warmth and color. The tea steeps for a moment, and Emma adds a splash of milk. She carries the mug with her to the window seat, a cozy nook where she enjoys her tea while looking out over the world outside. The street is still shrouded in early morning darkness, the sky hidden behind a veil of mist and fog. It's quiet here, except for the gentle sigh of the wind and the fading sound of the rain. As she gazes across the street, Emma notices the garden across from her. Even though it's autumn, the plants seem to hold their own, vibrant in their fading colors. The fallen leaves in shades of brown, red, and yellow lie scattered like pieces of art on a canvas. Her neighbor's garden has always been a place of beauty, and she finds herself smiling as she admires it from the comfort of her window. She wonders if her neighbor is awake yet. Probably not, she thinks. Most of the neighborhood is still asleep. Emma, however, is one of the first to rise. She takes comfort in the quiet of these early mornings, finding peace in the stillness. Her job at the bakery demands early hours, but she's never minded them. In fact, she's come to appreciate them. After all, it's a joy to know that she's giving something back to the community by being there for her customers when they wake up. Looking at the garden again, Emma notices a small patch of freshly turned earth. Her neighbor must have planted something recently, she realizes. The sight reminds her that she too has been meaning to get to her own garden. There are bulbs to plant, and she knows it's about time to put them in the ground before the weather changes too much. Her mind drifts to the small garden outside the bakery. Over the years, she's experimented with different plants, herbs, vegetables, and now flowers. The thought of the flowers blooming in the spring brings a smile to her face. But before they can bloom, she needs to get those bulbs in the soil, and soon. The cooler autumn earth will help them take root and prepare for the new growth in the coming months. Emma finishes her tea and takes one last look out the window. The fog has thickened, wrapping the street in a blanket of mist. It's a forecasted foggy day, and, as always, Emma finds herself fond of this weather. There's something magical about it, as though the world is hidden behind a curtain of possibility. It's as though new adventures and secrets are waiting just beyond the veil, only waiting for the right moment to emerge. As she stands to go wash her mug, Emma reflects on the soothing peace of the morning. She feels connected to the quiet world around her, as if everything has settled into the perfect place. With a satisfied sigh, she heads to the sink, then into her bedroom to get dressed for the day ahead. The day is unfolding with a quiet beauty, and Emma feels content in the knowledge that even though things may change, there will always be small rituals, like making tea and planting flowers, that keep her grounded and connected to her life. When Emma steps into her bedroom, she pauses for a moment to appreciate the quiet. The soft light filtering through the window illuminates the room in gentle shades of gray and gold, casting long shadows across the floor. It's a peaceful atmosphere, one that suits her perfectly as she goes about the morning's routine. She moves to her closet and selects an outfit for the day. Today, she chooses a red shirt with cheerful yellow accents, something that will add a burst of color to the otherwise gray day. She loves how the bold contrast lifts her spirits, especially on days when the weather outside feels dreary. After all, if the world is going to be washed in shades of mist and fog, she might as well wear something that brightens her own world. Emma slips the shirt over her head, and then she adds a few finishing touches. Her favorite scarf, a cozy hat, and, of course, her gloves. She walks over to the front door, glancing around the room one last time. The familiar, comforting surroundings of her home make her feel grounded, and she's ready to head out into the world, even if it's still hidden behind the veil of fog. As she reaches for the handle, Emma spots a small paper bag resting by the door. She smiles, remembering the bulbs she had meant to plant. The bag contains the daffodils, crocuses, and hyacinths she's been meaning to get into the ground. She carefully picks it up, feeling the cool, smooth surface of the bulbs against her palm. They are still a bit firm, not too hard, but not yet soft. She can't help but imagine how they will bloom in the coming months, their vibrant colors standing out against the backdrop of the bakery's small garden. She stuffs the bag into her coat pocket, then takes a deep breath. The air outside is crisp, and the faint scent of the rain still lingers in the breeze. Emma feels the mist settling around her as she steps out into the fog, her boots crunching lightly on the pavement. The fog is dense this morning, wrapping the neighborhood in a soft, ethereal haze. She can barely make out the familiar shapes of the houses around her, the street lamps glowing faintly through the mist. Emma smiles as she begins walking toward the bakery. There's something magical about foggy mornings, she thinks. The world seems quieter, more intimate, as though everything is holding its breath, waiting for something new to happen. The fog wraps the world in a soft embrace, and Emma lets herself be part of it, allowing the mist to gather on her skin. She thinks back to her childhood, when she used to run through the fog with her friends, playing games of imagination and adventure. Even now, there's a certain thrill to walking in the mist, as though the world is filled with untold stories waiting to unfold. As she walks, her gaze drifts upward to the trees that line the street. Their branches stretch out, partly obscured by the fog, but their leaves still manage to glow in shades of amber, gold, and crimson. It's a beautiful sight, one that makes her feel at peace with the changing seasons. Autumn is always a time of reflection for Emma, of looking back at what's past and looking forward to the new things that are coming. And for some reason, the fog always helps her feel like everything is in its proper place. Emma pauses for a moment to adjust her umbrella, which she's holding loosely around her wrist. The mist is thick enough that she doesn't need to open it, and she's glad for that. The fog feels close, almost like she can reach out and touch it, and she enjoys the feeling of walking without the umbrella blocking her view. She looks up at the sky, a soft gray blanket stretching out above her. It's comforting, like a familiar friend who has always been there, offering reassurance. She reaches out her hand, feeling the cool mist swirl around her fingers. When she pulls her hand back, she notices the tiny droplets of moisture gathering on her skin. Normally, she would swipe at them with her sleeve. but today she decides to let the mist linger. It feels soothing, like a gentle lotion, and it connects her to the world around her in a quiet, subtle way. As she walks past her neighbor's house, she spots the familiar garden again. The fog is so thick now that the house is completely obscured, but Emma knows it's there, just behind the veil of mist. She imagines her neighbor's cats curled up together, enjoying the warmth of the home, safe and cozy from the chilly weather outside. Emma smiles at the thought and continues her walk, the sound of her footsteps echoing softly in the stillness. The fog creates a kind of quietude that makes everything feel closer, more intimate. It amplifies every sound, making each step feel more significant. It's as if the world is holding its breath, just like her, waiting for something to break the silence. Before long, the bakery comes into view, its colorful door peeking out from behind the swirling fog. Emma grins. No matter how thick the mist, she'll always recognize her shop. It's been her sanctuary for years, and she's walked this same path countless times. Even if the fog were so thick she couldn't see a thing, she'd still know her way to the bakery. As she steps onto the familiar threshold, she pulls out her keys and unlocks the door. The warm, welcoming smell of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods greets her as she enters. She wipes her feet on the mat, feeling a sense of comfort wash over her. This is home. The lights flicker to life above her, casting a soft glow across the space. It's a moment she always looks forward to. The simple pleasure of the fairy lights twinkling in the early morning hours, filling the bakery with their warm, inviting glow. Emma takes a deep breath, letting the scents of sugar, flour, and coffee beans fill her senses. The familiar smells bring a sense of nostalgia, reminding her of countless mornings spent baking with her grandmother. The joy of creating something from scratch, of watching it come to life, has never lost its magic. She walks behind the counter, her movements fluid and sure, as she begins to prepare for the day ahead. Today, she's making fudge, a treat she's always loved making, especially when the weather turns colder. She's already thought about the different flavors she'll make, each one a special treat for her customers. Peppermint, hazelnut, and orange chocolate. Each one with its own unique twist to bring a bit of warmth to the chilly day. Emma is already excited about the process. The rich, smooth texture of melted chocolate, the sweetness of condensed milk blending perfectly with the flavors, and the satisfying crunch of toppings like candy canes and hazelnuts. It's a labor of love, and one she looks forward to every year. She sets up her double boiler, the tool her mother had recommended so many years ago. Emma remembers how, when she was young, her mother always insisted that a double boiler was the key to perfect melted chocolate. Over the years, Emma has tried other methods, but nothing compares to the smooth, glossy finish that comes from using the double boiler. It's become a comforting tradition, just like everything else in her life. Familiar, yet full of new discoveries every time. As the double boiler gently heats, Emma prepares the ingredients for the first batch of fudge. Smooth chocolate chips, the sweetened condensed milk, and the peppermint extract are all lined up before her. She moves with the familiarity of someone who's done this 1,000 times, each step ingrained in her routine. The sounds of the kitchen, clinking pots, stirring spoons, the hum of the boiler, are the heartbeat of her day. They bring her comfort, as consistent as the morning fog outside. With careful precision, she stirs the chocolate mixture as it melts, watching the transformation from solid to liquid, from opaque to glossy. The warmth of the melted chocolate fills the air with a sweet aroma that makes her smile. It's a smell that has always been a part of her life. one that connects her to every moment she's spent in this kitchen. The fudge is ready. Emma pours it into the waiting pan, letting the smooth, velvety liquid flow into place. She taps the pan on the counter to level it, making sure every corner is filled. She takes a step back and admires her work, knowing that in just a few hours the fudge will cool, solidify, and be ready to share with her customers. The thought of brightening someone's day with a little treat fills her with quiet satisfaction. But there's more to be done. She moves on to the second batch, this time adding fresh orange zest and orange oil to the melted chocolate. The citrusy aroma wafts through the bakery, a perfect complement to the rich sweetness of the fudge. Emma enjoys experimenting with flavors, finding new combinations to surprise and delight her customers. The orange chocolate fudge is always a favorite during the colder months, and she's excited to see how it will turn out. As the second batch cools, Emma sets her mind on the third, hazelnut fudge. She adds the crushed hazelnuts to the melted chocolate and carefully arranges whole hazelnuts on top, creating neat rows across the surface. It's a small detail, but one that she knows will make all the difference. Every piece of fudge, every creation she makes, is a reflection of her love for her craft. She doesn't just bake for the sake of it. She bakes because it's a way for her to share a little piece of herself with the world. As she places the tray on the cooling rack, Emma takes a moment to breathe deeply, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The smell of the fudge, the soft flicker of the fairy lights overhead, the warm flow of the kitchen. It all feels like home. This space, these rituals, and these small acts of creation are the core of her life, and she is thankful for them every day. Just as she's about to wash her hands and tidy up, Rose enters the bakery. Rose is one of Emma's closest friends, a fixture in the bakery almost as much as Emma herself. She's always there with a kind word, a laugh, and a helping hand when needed. Today, she looks especially cheerful, despite the foggy weather outside. "It sure is foggy out there," Rose says, her voice light as she hangs her scarf on the hook by the door. She smiles at Emma, who's busy setting up the trays of fudge. "I know," Emma replies, her eyes twinkling. "I was thinking the same thing. It's like walking through a dream. But I like it. It feels mysterious, you know?" Rose nods, settling into a chair by the window, looking out at the still fog-covered street. "I love that feeling. It's like the world is quieter somehow. And when you see the lights from the bakery, it feels like you're walking towards something warm and familiar." Emma grins at the thought. "That's exactly how I feel too, like the bakery is a little beacon in the fog, guiding everyone in." Rose chuckles. "It's funny how the bakery feels like home to so many people, isn't it? I can't imagine the neighborhood without it." Emma looks over at Rose, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It's my home too. This place, the people, the routine. It's all so comforting. I wouldn't trade it for anything." Rose leans back in her chair, sipping her coffee. "Well, I'm glad you're here. This place has such a warm, welcoming energy. It's like the world could be chaotic, but here, everything feels like it's in its place." Emma moves toward the counter where she's left the paper bag of flower bulbs. "Speaking of things in their place, I need to get these bulbs into the garden. It's about time. I've been putting it off, but I think the fog has made me want to get my hands in the earth." Rose looks up, her eyes lighting up. "I'll help you. Let's get those bulbs planted. It'll be fun to do something together out there." Emma smiles warmly, touched by Rose's offer. It's moments like this, simple, genuine moments of connection, that make her feel truly content. I'd love that. Together, they step outside into the foggy morning, the cool air filling their lungs. The garden, small as it is, feels like a little patch of peace amidst the fog. Emma pulls the paper bag from her pocket and begins to carefully plant the bulbs in neat rows, making sure they are nestled just right in the earth. Rose, always willing to lend a hand, finds the trowels and joins her, both of them laughing as they work side by side, the soil turning beneath their hands. They talk as they plant, reminiscing about past seasons in the bakery, about quirky customers and funny incidents that had happened over the years. There was the time a local chef accidentally sent her a batch of bitter almonds, and the batch of cookies they made with it became an instant hit. Or the Christmas when Emma had baked an entire table full of gingerbread houses, which were then devoured by a group of excited children. Every little memory, every story, felt woven into the very fabric of the bakery. As the last bulb is planted, Emma and Rose stand up, stretching and dusting off their clothes. Emma takes a deep breath, looking at the garden, now prepared for the coming spring. It's a small thing, but it feels significant. With the work in the garden complete, they head back into the bakery, where the smell of the freshly made fudge greets them like an old friend. The fairy lights twinkle overhead, filling the space with their warm glow. The day has only just begun, but Emma already feels a sense of completion. There's something about the rhythm of this life, the quiet mornings, the work in the bakery, the time spent with friends, and the joy of small, simple things that makes her feel truly alive. It's a life she's built, a life full of meaning, connection, and warmth. As the fog begins to lift outside, the world slowly returns to its usual form. But for Emma, the foggy mornings, the early tea, and the comforting presence of the bakery will always hold a special place in her heart. They're more than just moments in time. They are the threads that weave her life together, creating something beautiful, something enduring. And with that, Emma feels ready for whatever the day might bring. Because she knows, no matter how foggy the morning is, there will always be light, both inside the bakery and in her heart.